The Christian churches toss out the Old Testament. Without the Old Testament, you don't have nothing to confirm the New Testament. You have nothing. Because everything was referenced back to the Old Testament. Everything was quoted from the Old Testament. That's how they get. It's all commentary from the Old Testament.
And you have the prophets
you
also.
Have, in order to believe in the testimony of Yeshua and keep the commandments, you got to have the Old Testament to do both. Because that is one, you got to keep the commandments of Yahweh. Even the New Testament tells you that. And on top of that, in order to believe the testimony of Yeshua, you have to believe in the prophecy of Yeshua. And what we went over today was all the death, burial, and resurrection of Yeshua in the Old Testament. That's where the New Testament gets all their quotes from. Every book of the Old Testament, Yeshua's in it. But they get the quotes from the Old Testament. That's where it comes from. So in order to believe in the testimony of Yeshua, you're believing in prophecy. Because Yeshua came and, like he said, they spoke about me. That's what that means. That's what he was referring to. The scriptures spoke about him. And if you're tossing out the Old Testament, you're not going to know what they're talking about. It ain't something new that the New Testament just came up with. Everything out of the New Testament came from the Old Testament.
Right.
So for churches that want to throw out the Old Testament and it's not for us, it's all for you. All of it. So, and then they're just passing out New Testament Bibles only. I mean, what's that? That ain't going to help you in anything. That gives you nothing. So, it gives you a part of the story, but it doesn't give you the backup story, where it all came from. That's why it's important to understand the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. In order to understand Yeshua, you have to understand those three books. That's the Old Testament. Because it was all written about him. That's what it's about, the Messiah, and how the Messiah comes back and saves his people. That's the moral of the story of the Old Testament.